Mike Bohn joined today by former UFC champ Robbie Lawler, who fights Bryan Barberena at UFC 276. How are you doing, Rob?
Pretty good. How you guys doing?
I'm good, man. Can't complain. It's been a little while since we saw you, but I have a question off the top. Obviously, you've won your titles and everything, but what was a better feeling for you? You winning your belts or seeing your boy Logan Storley get that interim Bellator title? Because I saw you over cornering him for that fight, and you were extremely happy when he got that title around his waist.
Yeah, they're different. Obviously, huge accomplishment for Logan. Been working with him for a while. He's been helping me out, so it's nice to see him improving and winning belts.
Are we going to see you doing a lot more of that in the future? Like, whether it's, I know it's one thing to, go to a fight in Florida or something or somewhere in the States, but to be going out, across the sea and cornering a guy like that, are we going to be seeing you doing more of that going forward?
We'll see. I mean, it all depends. We have a lot of guys at Sanford MMA, and we'll see if they need me anywhere.
Right. Yeah. What did you think of, that performance by him, and especially the criticism afterwards from Scott Coker saying, what he did out there was like not really MMA and things like that. Did you think that was unfair? I know you have a past relationship with Scott too.
Yeah. I mean, it was though. I mean, wrestling's a part of martial arts, so I mean, he didn't mix it very much, but either did MVP. So it's like one guy wanted to stand up because that's what he's done his whole life, and one guy wanted to wrestle because that's what he's done his whole life. It's all about putting these fights where you're gonna get a victory, and that's what Logan did. I put him on his butt and just kept grinding away. MVP wanted to stay on his feet and land some shots because that's what he's done his whole life, and Logan was having none of it.
Yeah, and I'm curious for you. I mean, obviously, we know your style and your approach, and I don't mean this in a bad way at all, but Logan has, kind of the antithesis of what you're known for in terms of his style. When you're working with guys like that, is it, easier to impart wisdom? Is it harder because they kind of come from a different background? What would you say about that?
No, it's not. It all depends on the guy's mindset. Obviously, Logan's competed at a very high level in wrestling, so it's just taking his skill set and trying to add to it and make him a well-rounded fighter. And it's not about showing it every time either. Like against MVP, it wasn't time to show his stand-up. The fight before it was. So it's like picking and choosing when you're showing and when you're going to utilize your skills to the best of your ability and nullify other guys. And that's what the sport's all about. It's not going out there and banging if you're not a banger. If the guy's better than you striking or longer, it's like, all right, let's get a W. That's how you make extra money.
Right. Yeah. There's nothing more frustrating, right? When you see a guy, I mean, obviously you want to try things, but a guy who's clearly, got an advantage somewhere, like the wrestler, and then they go out there and try to act like a striker. I mean, that's how we see certain people lose fights or kind of get too big in their own mind, right?
For sure. I mean, it happens. Guys are working on certain aspects and they're feeling good, maybe beating up some guys in practice. And then it's like they go out in the fight and they're like, all right, let me show off my new skill set, which is fine. That's kind of how you learn. But I would definitely stick to your gun in big fights.
Yeah, completely. And so have you just been, mostly in the gym since the last fight with Nick Diaz and, helping guys out? Was this a good timeline for you to return, or were you maybe hoping to fight a little sooner? It's been, about 10 months since the last one.
No, I've been working out, just kind of working on skills, helping different guys get ready for fights. So I've been in and out.
Nice. And what did you think of this fight when they brought you Bryan? I mean, not meaning this in a bad way at all, but I think people were maybe a little surprised by the matchup, going from obviously a fellow legend and such a big rematch with Nick to a guy that obviously has been around the UFC for a while, but doesn't maybe have that same cachet around his name.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a totally different. They're both lefties, which is nice. Just trained for a lefty and Nick, and then Bryan's a lefty, so it's decent transition. I don't have to switch too much up, but it's all about staying focused and being a professional and trying to bring that same energy to the fight against Bryan.
Is it difficult in a little bit of a way? I mean, that fight with Nick was talked about for such a long time. I know, whether depends, I don't know, in your own mind, how much you cared about that revenge and stuff. I know you said you didn't really, but that was something people were looking forward to happening for a really long time. And this obviously doesn't have that same backstory.
Yeah, there's definitely no backstory, but Bryan comes to fight. So, I mean, that's a pretty good story. I come to fight, so fans are going to get what they love. Two guys going out there looking for finishes, standing up, and you never know what's going to happen, but maybe he'll wrestle, but we'll see. I'm excited to go out there and showcase my skills and get out there and put on a show.
Yeah, and just to go back to the fight with Nick, I mean, you've had so many big wins in your career, man. Like, did that one mean anything special to you in the aftermath? Like, when you had the time to reflect on it and watch it back, was that one of the ones that resonated with you more than anything in particular, or to you, was it just another fight?
I would say the only reason it resonates at all is because it got me excited again to fight. Kind of got me that momentum back where I'm like, okay, like doing the right things, being excited to fight, and that's why it resonated. But as far as, I mean, once again, it's another fight, but other than just being excited to fight and trying to keep that going after the fight, I mean, that's why it was big.
And I know it's a while ago at this point, but after the fight, UFC released that footage of you guys talking in the cage, and you kind of asked him, like, are you good in life? And you guys had that little conversation. Was that anything, like, can you kind of go back to that night and what that moment was like in the cage with him, and why you asked him that?
No, just kind of one of those things, like making sure he's all good, and I mean, just looking out for a legend, a guy who's fought and been around, a guy who's a competitor, somebody who I respect, and making sure he's all right and letting him know I'm there.
We still haven't seen him back. I know he came out recently, said he plans to fight again. Dana White said, they might try to keep him around. Kind of depends on what fight makes sense and if he's really committed to it. Do you think Nick should continue fighting? Would you like to see him back in there this year?
I don't know. I mean, it's on him and his coaches and the UFC. So, I mean, if he's willing to put in the work and he's feeling healthy, then more power to him. But that's not my decision.
Yeah, completely fair. And I'm curious, I mean, you're used to such big fights. This is obviously an insane card next week, but the first time I think you've been on the prelims since your UFC debut, I think, which was like 20 years ago at this point. Obviously, it makes sense given the stacked nature of the bout order, but when you saw that, were you surprised at all? Like, did that resonate with you at all?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was surprised. I'm like, okay, whatever, but I get to get out of there earlier, which is nice. I wish they'd just put me first.
Right.
Start the show and then get out and hang out. Maybe fly home.
Well, yeah, that debut fight, I believe, against Aaron Riley, was the first fight of the night. So if you're gonna, they're gonna put you on the prelims, might as well go all the way with it, right? And put you first.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, do you adjust like your training at all to peak a little earlier in the day, or is it kind of the same thing? Does that not matter if you're fighting at 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 10 o'clock?
No, it doesn't really matter too much. It's just be ready at all times, really. So it's do my same thing, wake up in the morning Saturday, get a workout, blow my lungs out, sharpen my skills, and then rest until fight time. So same thing, just a little less rest, and should be fine.
Yeah, and you got the win here. I mean, it'd be, some momentum, consecutive wins and stuff. Have you thought about what you want the rest of the year to look like? Like, are you okay with, if it's another 10-month break or something, or are you maybe thinking after this one you want to get back a little sooner?
Not sure. I mean, take it one fight at a time and then talk to the UFC, talk to my management, and see what we can do. But got to get past Bryan. Stiff test. I mean, he's on a little bit of a roll, so get to go out there and showcase my skills.
Yeah, I mean, I know these are obviously kind of the fights that you embrace a lot with guys that'll, stand toe to toe with you. I know you said he might wrestle and stuff, but do you see anything in Bryan that he brings to the table? I mean, that you haven't seen at this point? I'm sure that's kind of difficult to do, but is it pretty clear cut to you what you're getting yourself into with this fight?
Yeah, I mean, I've been around for a while. Brian brings a good skill set. He definitely has savvy out there when it comes to stand up. It's not like he's taking big shots. He rolls. He moves well. He mixes it up. So it's definitely not the easiest guy to get a hold of with your punches, but I've seen it. I'll figure it out.
I'm just curious, a couple more before I let you go. Obviously, a title fight in your division coming up here pretty soon between Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards. Just wondering if you've given that fight any thought at all, and prediction who might win, if I could ask.
Not really. I haven't really looked into it much. I mean, Leon's done a great job since he's fought Usman, improved a lot, and so has Usman. I mean, he continues to get better and work on his skills. So, two big welterweights going after it, and I'm sure Leon's been getting ready for Usman ever since he lost. So it's going to be a big fight, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a debate going on right now about whether Kamaru Usman is surpassing George St Pierre as the greatest welterweight ever. He's 15-0 in the UFC. He's one win here, and he ties Anderson Silva's record for the longest winning streak in UFC history. Do you have a opinion on who the best welterweight of all time is?
No, not really. I mean, different eras, different times, different circumstances, different competitors. So, I mean, they both lay claim to whatever, but they're both really good. So, and it shows in their legacies and what they're doing. So, Usman just needs to continue to go out there and put on performances and beat people up and let everyone else kind of like decide.
Yeah, I think that's the right way. And kind of last but not least, this past April was the 21-year anniversary of your MMA debut. And I'm sure you get this question, every interview at this point and stage of your life. But have you thought at all about how much longer you want to keep doing this? I don't know how many fights you have left on your UFC contract, if you intend on, completing that and then reassessing. What would you kind of say is your thought in terms of your overall future and what the timeline may look like?
Yeah, just one fight at a time. We'll see what happens. I mean, I enjoy doing this. I can do it at a high level. I'm training with really good guys at Sanford MMA. They're pushing me. I'm holding my own, so doing pretty well. So as long as I'm enjoying it and my body feels good and I'm going out there and I'm excited to fight and put on a show, then I'm going to continue to do it.
Yeah, and you mentioned it earlier in the interview here that the Diaz fight and that win kind of reinvigorated you a little bit. Can you give maybe an insight on what your mindset was like, before that fight or before you got that win or that fight compared to what it is now? Like how it flipped the switch for you in a little bit of a way?
I don't know. It just felt different. I mean, Nick's big name. It just felt excited to go out there and put on a show for a fight that a lot of fans have been waiting to see. So it was just good opportunity, right time. Training partners did a great job of getting me ready. Maybe it was my training partners pushing me, trying to beat me up, and brought out the best of me.
Good stuff, man. Before I let you go, I know you're wearing the Kill Cliff T-shirt there and stuff, and you got a lot of brands you're working with. If you just want to kind of speak to some of the relationships you have on kind of the business end and what they mean to you at this stage in your career.
Yeah, it's nice to have sponsors. Kill Cliff's a huge sponsor for me. I mean, Sanford, obviously, Sanford Orthopedics sponsor me. Get Biofuel, but Kill Cliff has stepped up. All my sponsors have stepped up. It makes it easier to train and do things, and sponsors are huge. It's when the UFC kind of switched to this kit, a lot of the sponsors fell off, and so it's really nice to still have sponsors, and especially Kill Cliff with their great products. I mean, I use them for recovery. I use them for taste. I mean, it's definitely nice, but this is what makes, especially when you're up and coming, if you can have sponsors, even if it's one of those things where a lot of these fighters, younger fighters, they weren't getting money necessarily. They were getting help, whether it was free massages, free chiropractic whatever. So that's one thing that I think helps in the sport, especially with young fighters, is getting that extra help so that they can continue to train and so they can do this at a high level. Can't do it without sponsors.
Definitely. And one more for you, actually, since you mentioned, young fighters and people you're working with. What do you make of Iangary? He's scheduled to fight, one fight before you on this card. Is he someone you've had the chance to work with at all? And what do you make of him?
Yeah, I worked with him a little bit this camp. Quick learner, a guy who's very confident, long, rangy, good stand-up, and no, sky's the limits for him. He's excited to fight. He's excited to go out there and put on a show for everyone, but he's also likes to be a part of the show. And I think the UFC is going to like that. He likes to be on camera, do those things, and get the fans excited. And he likes to talk and he likes to fight. So I think he's going to be a big part of our team moving forward.
Yeah, he said the only people in MMA who talk as well as him are Conor McGregor and Chael Sonnen. That's some pretty high company there. So obviously this is a stat card. Going to be big competition for those performance and fight of the night bonuses. But are you thinking you'll be in the running for that? You always are,
right? Yeah. I always feel like I'm going to go out there and put on a fight. That's the only way I know how to do this. I've been doing this a long time. I'm not planning on switching my style anytime soon. So. But there's really good fighters on the card, like really good fighters, real technical, exciting guys who bang, guys who do it all. So like, it's gonna be a tough one to get the performance of the night.
Hey, well, the past few cards, Dana's been given performance bonuses to every single finish, so maybe you guys will force his hand to make that happen again.
Yeah, you never know.
All right. Appreciate the time, Robbie. I'll let you go now, and best of luck with these last few days of getting ready, and I'll see you in Vegas next week.
Cool. Thank you.